Okay, so again, the assignment for Friday is for the presentation. You need to make figures. Okay, and these figures are sketches. So you need to sketch. You can also try, if you have enough results, you can try to make figures. But you need to think about it in general now, how many figures you're gonna have. So one of them has to be an illustrative figure. It has to explain what the experiment is in a really nice and easy way. The second and the third, or even the fourth, it's up to you, are gonna be your results. And each one should have similar things. So don't combine many different things in the same figure. Each figure should have a title and the topic and a theme. And for each one, try to think about what plots you're going to add and what is the caption. And also think about which figures are going to be the main figures, which ones are going to be supplementary. Obviously, I think almost all your tables are going to be supplementary, unless one of them, you have one that is just so important, it can be in the main. Okay, so now let's move into the demo. So, okay, let me share the screen. Okay, so if we go back into the file that we made earlier, so this file is basically, we analyze the data, so we organize everything. And just to remind you, you have your raw data, you saved it here, you have your figure data, and all your other figures, you save them in different folders. And then this one is the file you analyze. So you clean the data and you ended up with these points. You took the mean, you took the standard deviation, you made a scatter plot, and then you also added the error bars, and the error bars basically you add them through this part. Can you see my screen fine, by the way?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, good. So you go for the error bars again, you do error bars and you do standard error, and then you select custom and you just drag these at the top and the bottom. So now you have your figure, right? Sorry, your plot. What do you do next? You try to make it nicer first in this application, or in the software. You try to make it nicer before you move into the final the final design, or sorry, the software, the design software. You can play with these things because sometimes they help you. Make sure you have axes, for example. Make sure you have a point that tells you what this is. Usually this is enough to start with. The second thing that I will do is I will change the font size from here. I can go to home and try to choose a good size. For example, 20 is usually good. And I will change everything font to 20. If you think you need larger, you can do larger. But sometimes it's good to check with the publisher actually before you choose larger. Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe I'll make this. Let's see if I. So I like them to be, yeah, this is a bit annoying sometimes with Excel. Actually, let's make them like this for now. So now you have changed the font. You also need to change the font here. And the axes, you need to label them. Let's say this is PM. And it's, I don't remember what the unit to say, it's microgram per, let's say it's microgram for now. I don't remember the unit for it, but just for an example. Oh, it removed the error bars for some reason. I'll bring it in a second. And then here we have time, for example, in second. Now I had my axes labeled, everything starting from 0. Again, if you have multiple figures, or multiple graphs that you are comparing, make sure they all have the same axes in the Y and the X axis. Let's bring back the error bars. So okay, there's one thing I don't like. I don't like to have my error bars right on top of my axes. It doesn't look good, and people doesn't know what especially sorry, if they have the same width, it's not going to be easy to see. So I try to change the axis a little bit so I can see all the points clearly. And here I can say, for example, -0 point, or actually we can do -1. And now it still doesn't show a really nice way, but this is something we can fix in the software. But these are all the main things that you need to do. So you have your axes labeled, you have your size change, you have your points are reduced to 4 to 6, so it's enough. And yeah, that should be ready. So if you're using Excel, there are softwares that you can save immediately as a PDF. So PDF is a vector, and I will show you what that means in a second. So how do you deal with this? You basically try to save it as a different file. So in Excel, you cannot save it directly as a PDF. In many softwares, you can save it directly. You can save this directly as a PDF. But here you cannot. You have to do the following. So you say move chart, and then you say new chart, and you call it, let's say this is figure 3C, okay? Oops, 3C, and you press OK. And then what's gonna happen is it's gonna put it in its own sheet. And now you can save it as a PDF. So you go and click File, and you say Save As, and you go and say choose PDF. Again, this one we decided it's figure 3C, and you say sheet. Make sure to say sheet, because if you say workbook, it's going to save everything. You only wanted to save this figure, and you save. So what's going to happen is it saved it. So this is the figure. So now you saved it. And now what you need to do is to open the software. Okay, so you open the software, and I usually have a template. The template is for you to decide. This is just a video that I followed before, and I made it long time ago. About 2 years ago, I made this template. It's really easy to make. You can watch a video and make your own, depending on many different parameters. Let me delete this one. This one's from earlier. Okay. So what you do is just you take your figure. So this is the one that we want. You take it and drag it here. And you say, okay, sometimes you want to change some of these, but for now you don't need to, so you can just say, okay. And now you brought your figure to the software. And again, the name of the software is Inkscape. So now you brought it here. What do you do? You try to fix it. You try to make it look nicer, because it looks ugly, right? It just looks terrible now. So how do you then edit it? The way to edit is you ungroup things. You want to separate everything. As you can see now, everything is separated. And you can delete things. So let's say the background, the lines in the background, I don't like, I delete them. Remember the axis, I don't like it here. So I want to move it all the way to the end. So I can select both, and I say align, and I push it Oops. I push it to the left. Now I have my axes in a better way. There is a box in the back I don't like. I can just remove. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not selecting it. Yeah. So now I have my figure free. I have this one also. I don't need the title here. I can just remove it. And you see, I have these numbers now. I can select them all, and I can remove, put them away. And don't change, if you're changing the x-axis, as you see, I'm changing the y-axis. I never move things up and down, because in the y-axis, if you move things up and down, you change the value. Now I only move them vertically. So if you move the x-axis vertically, it doesn't change. It stays the same. So you can do this. It's fine. Okay. The problem is if you change the y-axis vertically, then you change the values. And that's going to be cheating. Or it's going to be faking results. Same for the x-axis, you only change it vertically. You don't change it horizontally, because if you change the x-axis horizontally, then you change the numbers. Okay, and let's say I don't like to have all these values. I only want to have a few. So I delete this one and this one and this one and this one. And now I have less values. Let's make it less crowded. And I can bring things closer. Okay, and this looks better. Now let's try to improve the design a little bit more. So these lines I don't like, they are pale, and we don't like the color. For example, if you prefer it's black, now we made it black. And same with this one. Oh, it's not fill, sorry, it's stroke. So stroke is for lines, fill is for shapes. And I'll show you, I'll give you an example on shapes as well. So now you see it became darker. And because I like to have boxes, I can just copy those two and duplicate them. And then I think there is a way to duplicate. Yes, you can duplicate. And then once you duplicate, basically makes another copy. So now there are two copies. So each one of these lines, there are two of them. And what I do is I just flip horizontally and do flip vertically. And now I will end up with a box. You can also add small lines if you like here to make this nicer here, 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 here. And then make sure everything has the same width. Now it's quite light. I usually like it, for example, at 2 pixel. I like my lines to be at 2 pixels, so when they're a bit, it makes them more, yeah, maybe prestigious in a way. They look more fancier if they're a bit darker. And then I will make everything basically 2. So all the lines should be the same. And this is not only for the box, this also for the lines here. So these lines also has to be the same. So if we zoom in, first we want to also ungroup because this circle is a part of this line. So we need to ungroup. Maybe another one. Ungroup. Okay, I think they are separate now. And then I change this one to, again, we want it to be black. And we want it to be 5. Oh, sorry, 2. And the same for all of them. Does anybody have a question while I do this? Because this is just, I can answer questions while I do this. Okay, and now I'm happy with basically all my lines have the same width. Now my circle is just so tiny. I don't like my circle. Okay, first of all, they're all together, so I need to separate them. And sometimes you have to do it, oops, you have to do it multiple times until they are separated. So you see, I have done it 4 times until it was separated. Okay, now I want to replace it. So what do? I just put something on the top. I don't delete the original one because I don't want it to disappear. Because sometimes I want to change things. Let's say I want to make a box. It's a circle now. I want it to be a square. And we can have it black for now. You can change it to any color that you like. So how do I take this one and put it exactly where the circle is? Very simple. You select the circle first, and then you go to align and distribute, and you say, I want you to change things related to the first thing. So the first thing you select, the design software are going to change things relating to it. So if this is the first thing you select and you choose something else and you want to make them both in the center, it will move this one and bring it next to this one because everything is related to this one. And you will see now what I mean. So you see, I selected this one and I want this one to be in the center. So I select the other one and I click here. And you see now they are both in the center. And if I click the second one, so now you need to do center vertically and center horizontally. So now if I do horizontally, it's on the same spot. So now I have my square basically on the same spot. There's something I don't like here, which is the line is not fully in the middle. So I can select them and say, put them both in the middle, please. And now it looks nicer. You see the line and is exactly in the middle. If I go back, it just doesn't look nice. Even these details you have to pay attention to. The line, the error bar is a bit to the right, and that doesn't look nice. So we need to also make sure this thing is looking perfect. And now it looks much nicer. Let me see. I cannot see the chat, by the way. So yeah, okay, we don't have anything in the chat. So we do this the same for all the points. So we duplicate it. And then we, oops. And we'll just do this to all of them. And we'll also do it to this one. Okay, and then we will have your lines. They have to be also aligned. All these ones. And now everything looks good in terms of the inside. The font I don't like, so I can change the font also. I don't like the font, I don't like the color. So you can change it. Let's say this is PM. Oops. PM. And I want to change the color. So sorry, the font. I don't like I like Avenir. It looks much nicer. And then let's say I want it to be a bit darker, and I will do this to all of them. So all of those I will change. So I will change all the fonts in all of them, and I will also change the color. Okay, I'm not going to change all of it, so just to show you what it's going to look like. And there are other things that you can do, but this is just the basic of, you know, how you design things, how you edit it. And this is a vector again. All of this is a vector. And once you're done with everything, you group them and you try to put them inside your design. So the design I made earlier, this is based on a A4. So if I have an A4, what is the size of my figure that I would like it to be? So this is quite large for an A4, so I will need, so again, this is, all of this is A4, and this is half. So I want it to be half. I can make it smaller. Okay, let's say that this is good for now. And then I put a label. That's it. As you can see, it also requires a lot of more work. You see the difference here and the difference here, because this one needs a lot more work until you make it as nice as the ones in the top, basically. But this is how you make figures, and this figure is going to be in vector. As you can see, things are separated. So this is vector based. And I'll show you another thing also for the illustrations. You need to also do figures. Sorry, vector based. So all of these are actually just lines and boxes. If I just show you an example. So these are just lines and boxes, basically. You can see you just put lines and boxes and squares next to each other and make all these different shapes. Okay, and this is basically what a vector is. So all these are different things. You make them individually, and then you basically put them together, and then they look they give you a nice illustration. So all of these are all different boxes and so on. And yeah, this is basically how you design figures. And it takes time, but it makes a very, very big difference. If you look into any paper of a high quality, all of them are done this way. All of them are done by good designing software. All of them have used designs to make sure everything is perfect. Okay, we have 7 minutes. Does anybody have any questions?